Hello, and welcome to chapter 288 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm a tired little boy. It's been very busy today, but no, it's been a busy week, busy day, busy everything. But we had a fun ending to Peacemaker, and
Interesting ending, I will say. I will agree with you on that part for sure.
yeah, and yeah. So I mean, that's really about all we have. So that's
We
not
have a
really
good
much of anything
article.
else.
We have a good article James Gunn did post Peacemaker, so we'll talk about that as well. But
But yeah,
Joe's
how are
right.
you doing though?
I'm doing well, Joe. Going to the in-laws this weekend, so that should be fun for Oliver for sure, and me because I get to check out and be the third parent as Allison's mother moves in and wants to spend all the time with Oliver. So I just take a step back and chill out, play a lot of Switch, and just watch sports, and it's fun for me too.
Heck yeah!
Football gambling. I'll be excited. Taking some rough hits, Joe. The last couple, I told you before, I put $20 in to start the year, and then when it runs out, it runs out. Went
Sure.
up pretty high to 200, and now I'm down to 140. Had three rough betting of games in the last Monday night, Sunday,
Hmm.
and Thursday. So regroup, get back at it Sunday, and hopefully just keep going. I don't go too much, like it's like 20 or 40 now. But again, if that money goes, it's gone. If it's good at the end of the year, I usually buy something nerdy out of it or sportsy,
There you go.
uh, just for some fun.
That's the way to do
So
it.
yeah, it's just everything's pretty slow here. Joe's getting colder too. Winter is coming, as they say. So yeah,
Easy there, Stark.
you know,
Ned
well, it's
Stark.
like it here. Sometimes it feels like Winterville in the wintertime.
Yeah, I mean it's got chilly here. I mean we're getting down to like the low 50s, high 40s at night, but it's been like low 70s during the day. So it's been a little chilly. Our
Yeah,
windows are open, AC's off. So
you're kind of in the same area we're in terms of weather
yeah,
with the winter, especially. So you're not immune to it. You get the snow when it
yeah,
comes.
I get the lake effect. So yeah, like you do.
Yeah, I hear you there. So thankfully, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Peacemaker, season two finale. Like Joe said, we don't have a whole lot of news elsewise besides that, but that means we'll have a lot to talk about with the episode. 50 minutes long. So before we get into it, let me get the network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 6 shows in total. On Mondays, bi-weekly is Ranger Alliance. On Tuesdays is the Walk Through the Multiverse. On Wednesdays is the Animation Nation. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance. And on Saturdays is DC Alliance. Star Wars Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And DC Alliance goes live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All three of those shows also have their own podcast feed. Search DC Alliance, Marvel Alliance, and Star Wars Alliance. Just about DC content, Marvel content, or Star Wars content only. But you want all 6 shows on the GUA Podcast Network. Stay subscribed to the GUA on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, $1 tier and a $5 tier. $1 tier is basically tip jar, like we're doing. You want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. We have myself and Joe going through all the DC films through the years. We have the Marvel Alliance guys, Chris and David doing the. Chris and Brent went through the Infinity Saga. Chris and David went through Tales from the House of X, talking about their favorite Fox Marvel films, and they finished up the Fox, their Fantastic Four, all the four of those films. They covered those. That's
Um,
finished. The last one put up. David did some, and Brent did some of Tales from the House of X. Mister
okay.
Autocorrect there. So I was just trying to give him full there. Brent would have been okay with that.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I saw the look. I was like, God damn, exactly. He's going to comment on that for sure. Uh, we thank everyone that's a patron. If you're not a patron, if you take a quick 30, 60 seconds rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice, is always greatly appreciated. It helps other people find the shows, and that's always a good thing. One other thing, even though I was going to not say it now because he threw my intro on the bus there.
I did throw you off.
Joe,
I thought you were just gonna keep going. I'm like, oh, cool. Whew.
Joe, how is your 30 plus days of Halloween going? What was posted today?
I mean, it's chugging along still, and it is. I would like to say it's going fine. I mean, currently where we're at, I've had a few messes this week, because this week has been a lot of down movies, I'll say. Like I know I had Fear Street Prom Queen, which was okay in my opinion, but not like the other Fear Street movies. I like those other ones a lot better than this one, personally. But then I also am still sticking with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Like so, today's was the fourth one, which is called The Return of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was the original title, but then it got changed to Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation for some reason.
Was there a
But
3D one in there at some point?
3D doesn't come until later.
Okay, there is one though. Okay.
Yeah.
Not shocked.
But that's actually not until like the 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3D, because 80s usually had the 3D effects because that's when the 3D got popular. But then they had a 3D one again, like the resurgence in the 2000s. But no, this one had Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger in it, so it's kind of interesting, also kind of weird. But no, most of the movies this week were kind of lackluster. The Curse of Crom: Legend of Halloween was an interesting one, mainly because that one came out Wednesday. That one was a Kickstarter one, had a good story. I think if it had been expanded on, it might have been a stronger story. But I did find out that there's a sequel to that coming out, another fundraiser backed one that I look forward to maybe watching in the future. But besides that, yeah, I think the one coming out tomorrow should be good. The one, if you guys are listening to this on the podcast, the one coming out today, which is Ouija: Origin of Evil. And I really like that one because that one was done by Mike Flanagan. And I'm not going to lie, I praise Mike Flanagan literally the entire episode. So
I'm not shocked there. So yeah, keep on the lookout for that, patrons. If you're not a patron, it's definitely a reason to join. So Joe, we have a season finale of Peacemaker, full Nelson. And if you're a wrestling fan, put your hands behind your head and start making them, because that was a wrestling move, a nod to John Cena, in my opinion.
I mean,
And yeah, what do you think about this season finale, Joe? Spoiler free.
spoiler free, it was interesting. I was very, because I had to watch it in parts, because like I started watching it and then I had to like finish up doing something and I came back to it. So like I'm trying to remember exactly all of it. The beginning part where Chris was just not bothered by not wanting to be around everybody, I should say. Mm-hmm. That's not spoiling because that was actually in the trailer. So like that part makes sense because of everything that has happened. And then when we get into them, again, parts of the trailer, looking through all the doors, very interesting. What we get from that, very interesting. And we'll get into that as we go into the episode. But all in all, I'm trying to put my thoughts together specifically. I enjoyed it. I think I was expecting more. I think we all were expecting a certain cameo, specifically Superman, and we never got it. And maybe that was our own fault for expecting that, assuming that. And I know the cameos we did get, and I was thinking about this, maybe we should have assumed those were the cameos, considering the two we got the last two episodes. When you think about it that way. But at the same time, like when Gunn is saying, hey, we're going to get a lot of cameos, he's not wrong in a sense, but at the same time, wording is
especially
important.
saying that after episode 5.
Yeah, wording is important. Yes, we've got a lot of cameos, but we didn't get the cameos we wanted. So, but no, all in all, I did enjoy the episode as a whole for what we got as a finishing up of the season. I'm intrigued as to where we're going to go from here, both in the world of Peacemaker and in the DCU as a whole.
Hmm.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, and myself, I'm going to be honest with you. I enjoyed the potential stuff for the DCU, but the others, I thought this was not as good as the season one as a whole or the finale. Uh, I was a little disappointed. Not even about like it didn't matter who I would have seen, but like the fact that we went through all these Earths and we didn't see another hero, like a different hero or like even villain for that matter. Like we got the same kaiju that was destroyed in Superman, but we didn't like there was no like even showing me a Blue Beetle sighting or like and
Yeah,
again, you and I are not ones that like oh, I just want it to expand the universe. It's not like it doesn't like he doesn't have to show up and help Peacemaker through an episode. Like you could
sure.
show him to me on TV, and I'd be like, at least cool. Okay, like potential bring him in down the line. Okay, that's fine. Like we're just building like this world a little bit more. Felt like it was still self-contained to the Peacemaker world and just stayed that way, and didn't jump out. Besides the Lex, of course, of it all. But even that, Peacemaker was in Superman too. So
Yeah, but again, that was also similar to he was just in a. It was no different than Lex being in Peacemaker. He was
yeah.
just on a TV show.
Yeah,
You know,
and
he
that
was
was,
just
and again,
separate.
that was cool. I was like, oh look, same universe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so yeah. It's just I don't know. Again, Brant has a good thing about your expectations. Don't let your expectations like. Take, he has a good saying that I can't remember at the moment, but it's just about you let your expectations run wild, like it did for Crisis on Infinite Earths for
Well,
Arrowverse.
it's also no different than everybody expecting Mephisto way back in
Oh,
WandaVision.
yeah, and you just
You
kept
know,
that. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, hit a little less at that point when he was finally revealed. It kind of hit a
sure.
little
Well,
less.
by
To
that
be honest
point,
with you,
it
when you
it had
expected
been
it
what,
so
5 years?
many times. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
like so it's one of those things where we had already. It didn't matter when he finally showed up. But no, I will agree with you. Like they could have shown something in one of those doors.
Dude, there's a
Just
problem I
somebody.
have with Chris too. With we'll get to that when we get to like
Sure.
the
Yep.
like I'll get into that. So overall, like I still enjoyed it, Joe. Like it was fun, and I like the DCU connections and stuff. But like I don't think it was as good as the first season. And I know I'm a more like it doesn't make or break an episode, but I really enjoy at least one good action set piece in these universes, especially when you're doing the finale. Like I was hoping for something and I don't even think we got one punch thrown that
Yeah,
entire.
this was not action
No,
heavy. There really wasn't no action.
no,
Well,
and
there
I,
was some action, but not a lot of action heavy in this season finale versus last season, obviously.
that's
Yeah.
it. So yeah, again, there's some stuff we'll get into in Abidio really shine for me in this episode. So
Agreed.
there's some good stuff and some bad stuff. So we'll get into that after we take our first ad break of the evening. And listeners, if you haven't watched Peacemaker season 2 finale, this is your time to pause this, go watch it, and then run right back to us and listen to our thoughts. So. Listeners, we're an ad support network. We don't pick the ads or volume. I'm going to do a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. I did it right this time. Uh,
Oh,
and
boy.
posted the ad break time in the private chat, not the public chat.
I also just saw the tweets you sent me privately,
Yeah.
which is hilarious because it's not the same Clayface. So,
No, no, I know. I just thought it was funny.
but it's still pretty funny. Anyway,
Uh, so yeah, we're going to jump into Peacemaker now, rip the bandage off, and talk about some of the events of the episode, and in more of a greater discussion of the season. Uh, Joe, we finally see the boat scene here, where the stuff that's been alluded to the entire season with Amelia and Harcourt and Peacemaker Chris going out on that date. And I'm going to be honest with you, hand up, I thought they full blown went all the way.
same. I actually thought
So
because that would explain more why Chris was pursuing it as much. Now, don't get me wrong, Chris being as the whole point of both seasons has been Chris wanting the love, the affection of people. So even just, and again, we're in the spoiler territory. Just him, the two of them making out shows that they care for each other,
Yeah.
that was enough for him to make a connection. And that was that was enough for him to keep asking her, keep pestering her, to be like, did that mean something to you? Because it meant something to me. And so the fact that she kept blowing him off the entire season, yeah, I agree. I thought it went farther, but at the same time, like I'm not disappointed in what they did either. Like it makes sense
I'm just a
for
little
his character.
disappointed with the end of his character there, and we'll get to it and run back to it. But I just don't like the fact that like he still had to wait for her to actually say it. Like her actions throughout this episode should have indicated to him that like
That I agree with.
like it was like he was still staying there waiting for her to say, "Yeah, I admit a lot," before he would go with them. And I'm like, after that amazing speech from Abs, like that should be that should be enough for you to go. And again, you should know just from the way Harcourt's looking at you during that speech, and even says like, "You mean a lot to all of us," or something like that in at the end of that speech.
But at the same time, she literally said, "I came to this other world to get you."
Yes,
that
in the
should say
previous
something.
couple episodes, yes. So that
Like,
the fact that he's barking back up that tree at the end, that was really frustrating to me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That was definitely not.
And I was just like, I wish it wouldn't happen towards the end too, because it really got me frustrated mood going towards the finish of the episode. Although we'll talk about it, there's some really cool stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to say that just in case I forgot about it, because that is jumping the gun quite a bit. So yeah, we saw
James Gunn.
There you go.
Sorry.
So, and I didn't even try that when I said jump the gun. I didn't think about it. We saw the boat thing, and honestly, it ends in a kiss from them, and then she takes off right away. And we see, like Joe said in his spoiler-free thoughts that we saw in the trailer, Chris is in prison, and he doesn't want to see anyone because he thinks he's the angel of death. Like shutting everything down, Joe. What do you think about where he's at when we get to this point here? I think it's a little silly.
When he's in prison?
When he doesn't want to see anybody in.
Yeah, when he's just like being all
mopey.
It's self-centered, or not really self-centered. Again, the fact that I understand him turning himself in and being the pariah, I guess, but why not let people come see him? Why not let his friends? I guess in a way he thinks that because of everything that happened, that if he lets anybody come around, like they will be killed off, and he doesn't want them. He doesn't want that to happen to them.
No, because he actually cares for the people, and it takes a little while to bring it out of him.
Honestly, the sad joke of it all is he could have let Adrian show up because he doesn't give two shits about Adrian. But
yeah, and again, I like to see Adrian's brother because that's who he hung out with first. I hope, although I don't know if we were going to see a third season of this show. So while this is going on, Harcourt's back at Argus. She's working for them, and they're going through all the doors, Joe. And there's one other problem that I have here is some of the about faces that we see by the time the end. Like there's only Bordeaux has anything, and I wanted a little bit more for her turn. Like just more of a realization than a couple looks at Flag to see like what he's become. Like I hope.
Well, we don't know how long everything took place though either. So it could have been it could have been a more gradual like turn. It just because of the montage, it seemed like it went quicker.
And Judo Master, you barely can even see his face that he's one of the agents at one little point in this.
At the very beginning, he's one of the groups.
And same thing with Tim Meadows' character too. I'm forgetting his name right now.
Flyers. I can't remember his name.
Oh my god, I can't remember his name. Bordeaux. No, Flurry.
Thank you.
Flurry.
But that makes sense because after the episode where Economos outs Chris to the cops, like puts him in the system, I think that's when he turned on Flag.
Well, yeah, he sees, but I would like a scene, at least one scene. Like that's why he's just doing it with looks. That's all, because that's all we've seen in the last few episodes is Flurry looking at him, like giving him the same look that Bordeaux starts to give him in this episode. But I would like a little bit more than just the looks, Joe. Even if you had a couple of them talk amongst themselves for a scene, just talking
Okay.
how crazy it is. I just wanted a little bit more than just a couple looks, and then we see them join the team at the end. Like I wanted just a little bit more.
So what you're saying is that we should have got
Even
maybe
them quitting,
45-minute episodes the last 3 episodes instead of 30-minute episodes?
Or, you could have had a scene in this episode where those couple agents quit. Like, I would have been even okay with that. Just them
That's
saying,
right,
that, I don't like how this is what we become, or working with Lex Luthor, like anything like that. I could have had, but no, none of we didn't. We just got looks. So that was a little criticism of mine that we had.
Okay.
But again, that doesn't hurt the whole episode. So the whole going through all the doors, that's madness, Joe. What was your favorite one of all the doors they went through, the worlds?
I mean, the little gremlin ones were
Yes,
pretty fun.
Yes, they were awesome, and they killed
I mean,
the guy that they on the story about the stripper and the
I
stripper.
definitely felt bad for him, man. Really felt bad for him.
Like, I'm going to be asking. We're so in now. I want to know the end.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, yeah, I'd be the same way. Please, thank you.
Oh god.
So yeah,
No, like,
every one of these go.
That one was cool. Like also the skeleton spider things. That was kind of cool looking. But again, that we saw that one in the trailer, so I knew to expect that.
Even if we went to the deceased world, like this is what I'm saying.
Sort of. Like I mean, it's just a zombie world, but
have
yes.
us go into that deceased world and have anybody have just some random D-lister that you would never have as a hero that is coming in as a zombie trying to eat people. Like anything like that. That's all. I'm just saying a little bit more when you open those doors. That's all I wanted. Like one of those doors where you saw actual people, or even the alien that we saw dumping the thing, go open up the door and go into his world, maybe.
Right. Look, yeah,
Like,
I'm surprised that they just let that alien come in, dump the little creature, and go back, and them not follow him through that door.
Yes, or try to get in that door or anything. So yeah, it was but I did enjoy like the whole exploration of it, and like especially the first one because it looks like it's really nice, and then those gremlins come out of nowhere, and you can tell they've done this before because they're so quick and methodical. Like
they chop the rope, they start to close the door, like.
And Aggie even says, I can't remember what episode 2 or 3, when they're sitting around having a beer, he talks about that Earth X Chris going in when he was like 8 or 12 into that world fighting those gremlins. He does say that, so we get a little nod back to that, which
nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. And
I didn't remember that part.
When they're killed, they burst into like little confetti balls, and that makes that. And again, I would have, even if I saw a scene where these Argus agents are talking about how crazy this is afterwards, I'd have been okay not seeing a scene of them quitting, but just the looks. I got to convey while they're wearing the suits of how crazy this is, and I can see them, and they're trying to. I just want it a little bit more. Like that's what makes Flurry have to leave, is how crazy this is. And
well, yeah, because I mean, what we get though is all of these agents going in, and we get Flag chumming it up with all of, spoiler alert, all of Luthor's men, because it's him chumming it with, like, just bringing in basically Luthor's team. That's the cameos. All of Luthor's team that he worked with into this command center.
And again, apologies if you might have forgotten a few of those characters, because they were as ancillary as you got in Superman.
Yep.
So
he basically brings all them and becomes friendly and one-on-one with them.
Wait, can I just say one other thing? I'm going to be honest with you. I remembered the cameo of the senator person, the Secretary of Defense guy, more than any of the other cameos outside of the guy that Mr. Terrific pushed them away. But Otis and stuff. Like I remember. I
definitely remembered Otis. Because Otis is a longtime Luthor thing, but I obviously Hat from last week and then this week. I remembered one or two of the other characters, but then obviously the senator, like you said, yes, the senator was definitely a bigger.
What is he? Secretary of Defense, I think.
Whatever he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So we've got Rick literally partying with these guys constantly as these Argus agents are going to these doors and literally dying. Like they are dragging bodies out of the door as and you got Economos and Bordeaux watching them do this and then looking over at Rick and he's just laughing it up. And it's just, of course they're going to start realizing no, this Rick has
And
changed.
Harcourt's there trying to put the blinders on because she wants to be in her job because she hasn't been in
Sort
it
of.
for 2 years. Because Economist says at the start, like, when, because she's like, we're finding a new place for like resources and overpopulation and stuff. And he looked over, he's like, yeah, when have we ever done anything for the greater good here?
Yeah.
And then you get that montage. And one thing I noticed, Joe, is like a thing that Flag does to manipulate women. Because both times he did it to Bordeaux and Harcourt, told him, call me Rick. And then when Harcourt says to him, like, Rick, and he's like, what? She said, you told me to call you Rick. And he's like, disregards it completely. He only does that to try to manipulate him and get what he wants.
Well, I mean, at that point, she had already handed him the file of, hey, we found
Salvation.
the planet. And he's like, oh, this is perfect. This is great. He got what he wanted. He didn't give two craps what he called her, what she called her.
And the other thing, when he is looking through one of the files that Lex Luthor looks through for him, the wormhole that Lex says this looks promising looks awful lot like the same wormhole that Ultraman went down through, or, well, the antagonist of the last Superman movie, the villain.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any smoke to that fire, but there potentially could be. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. But yeah, he's working full with Lex Luthor, and he has a meeting with all the people in the basically in the Pentagon, and explains to him what he wants to do, which is he wants to send all the metahumans to this other planet, other world that they found, the multiverse, that he thinks is just a bare Earth there, and just leave them there and they'll be fine. They won't be able to help people, because he said people have been breaking out, and we saw a little news bulletin a couple episodes ago about like 3 breakouts of Arkham and Bell Reeve in the last 2 months or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
He wants to get rid of them, and what that Secretary of Defense guy said, like, this is a complete change from you from last month when you were in here lambasting Lex Luthor and his ideas. Now it kind of seems like you're in the same boat here. And he's like, kind of explain the differences too, which is we can drop them off somewhere there, and then like the door's not there, so like they can't come back. We can have the door show up anywhere too, so it doesn't have to be where we let them out, so they're waiting for us when we come back finally.
Exactly.
So and they seem to be on board. The Secretary of Defense even says, like, good job, like, finally realizing that the metahumans are a threat, Flag, like some kind of comment like that, and goes on about his thing. And like Otis, not Otis, what's the guy with the black glasses again? I'm forgetting.
Hap. Sydney Happerson.
He's not, the last episode, he was in the orange jumpsuit. This episode, he's out like high-fiving and in the meeting with
he's this, yeah, and with like, Otis, and yeah, everybody's all dressed to the nines. They're not prisoners anymore.
Full pardons, like,
yeah.
Oh, and again, I'm really interested to see how like they're going to play this Salvation arc, because James Gunn has made a couple comments. We'll get into those a little later, but yeah, I'm really excited for this, Joe. So they have their full plan. This is what's going to happen going forward. And while this is going on, the 11th Street crew go to try to get Chris. They bail him out with the money from Adrian's.
This was another great speech from Ads to Adrian.
Speech or reverse psychology,
or
manipulation.
I mean, it was kind of sort of like it was similar to the manipulation that she did to him in season 1.
Yeah,
sort of, because I mean, it started out as a speech, like a legit speech, and then it turned into manipulation.
Like, she realized that wasn't working on it, and then she used far more basic things.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she gets him to use the money, and they bail out Chris. He doesn't want to be bailed out. They all try to get him to stay, and then Vigilante dives on him and stuns him.
I love that.
Right away. And then they all have a short discussion with it, and basically telling him he doesn't have to leave. And then we get that awesome speech from Ads, which is like probably the best. Her best emotional moment. And she had a really good moment like a few scenes prior where she broke up with her girlfriend because she realized that they weren't
not
compatible.
Girlfriend,
wife.
Yeah, they were married.
So because she said they wanted completely different things. It made no sense to.
Well, no, yes, they want completely different things. But so she was talking about how when they first came here, it was because they needed money, and like her mom, Amanda Waller, offered her this job, It was just to get enough money to get on their feet to start a business,
Yeah.
start the pet store.
Pet store.
And then Ads really started liking it, and she wanted to do this like
What
little
else? What else?
job.
She saw an eagle hug a.
Well, yeah, she saw Eagle hug a human. She saw a miracle.
Yeah.
But then that kind of became her driving force, and Key, whatever, Key. That's not what she wanted, and so they split. And Ads was not going to string her along. She wasn't going to stay in the relationship, into something that she knew was not going to work. They both their lives had changed
Very
so
healthy.
much.
Very
yeah,
healthy.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I know they both were devastated. You could tell they both were devastated.
They did really good job on that, Joe. Both of them.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it was a very touching scene. Like even I was choking up at that
I know.
scene.
I was like, damn, this was a good one, and I wanted to make sure because we did jump past it. And before we go any further, let's take our second ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad support network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. Ads has that great speech with Peacemaker, then basically telling them that like he means stuff to every one of them. He's changed all their lives. He changed her life for the better, and basically he's a good person when he doesn't do things like when he doesn't think about things and makes terrible decisions or listens to someone else. You get the results like of Keith dying or his dad dying or like those kind of things or Flag dying. Those were listening to other people.
Yep.
And she was like, you are a good person. Like you have a good moral compass. So, and yeah, it was a really good speech, Joe. And John reluctantly was like, kind of almost was like, yeah, like nodded to him. And yeah, it was a good scene, Joe. I got a little emotional about that. I thought that was a really good, really well done by Ads there. Did that get you as well as it got me?
I mean, it was definitely a good scene. I don't think it got me as well as you. It sounds like it got you. So.
It was. I was like, damn, this is a good one.
Yeah.
And it did. But just before that, too, Ads meets with Bordeaux, and
Harcourt brings her over,
which is definitely a step in their right direction. Because at the start of the season, she was pissed off that Adebayo went to her mother the previous season and got her like it resulted in Harcourt being blackballed.
Mm-hmm.
And now Harcourt can walk out on her own terms instead of her like being blackballed because that's what they do. Bordeaux goes to her, they meet, and she doesn't like what's going on. They both are not a fan of it. She puts her in touch with Adebayo, and they form a new organization, Joe, that, not going to lie, wasn't expecting this name.
Same.
This is any other time I've ever seen this organization in comics or television or animation. It's always been as secret as possible. Definitely not putting your name of your organization on the front door. Like that's just how I've always seen them as a super black ops side of things that has been controlled by a couple people, including Maxwell Lord, if I'm not mistaken. So
yep.
That could end up happening here. But yeah, I that's the one thing I was like, you're putting this thing on the building? Like that, you could even make it black or put a little like.
Well, they did black and white.
But,
I mean, we're talking about Checkmate is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like when they were talking about, because after Peacemaker, we mentioned it earlier, talks with Harcourt, and Harcourt finally admits, yes, it meant something. He comes back inside. He is stupid happy. Then we get the scene where they all are going to to Adrian's basement, raiding all the money because they built they're doing a new business venture to make Checkmate. Metahuman, yes, basically. Hey, actually, that's not a bad idea. But yeah, so my thought, like as they're doing this, I'm like, okay, what are they calling it? What are the Peacemaker Incorporated? Like, what are they going to be calling this thing? At no point did I think
thought
Checkmate.
It was going to be like 11th City.
something like
Something
that.
But no, I was not expecting that. I'm not complaining as much. Just the
No,
whole
but I should
not
have thought of
Black
Checkmate
Ops.
because Bordeaux's there. Like
Yes,
it makes
yes,
she was part of Checkmate, especially
yes,
the newest iteration of Checkmate.
yeah. So that makes I'm like, oh, I can't believe I didn't see that coming.
Right.
But yeah, I was the same way. But I laughed at it. I was like, again, it can be anything you want in this one. That would not make me want not watch it because it's not a like Black Ops organization. But I just thought it was funny because I've only ever seen them like try to be as inconspicuous as possible, and then you're seeing them skipping out of the building with the building name on it. And I was just like, okay, like, here we go. And I enjoy the montage. They all get together. The best scene for me in that whole montage was John and Eagly hugging.
Yeah, that was
Eagly puts his arm around John.
He's scraping his talons or like cutting his talons or something. He's being nice to him, and Eagly just kind of like puts his wing on him.
And again, I like that because it just John's come a long way since he first met Eagly, but you can tell because he saved them a couple times in this season. So I like that, and so they're all together. It's actually a good ending, Joe. Everybody's okay. They are the 11th Street kids all work for Checkmate now, and at the end of this, unfortunately, the last. Did they ever hint at Bordeaux's term previously, or was it both introduced and complete in this one episode? Last episode, the previous one before this, she had a couple looks with Rick Flag for some of the stuff he was doing. Like,
she was questioning it, but nothing ever really. She didn't really do anything about it.
I complained before you got here, probably earlier, that I wanted a little bit more from the Argus agents that turned and went to the 11th City crew and Checkmate. I wanted at least a scene of them talking amongst themselves, saying like, this is crazy, like this is not what we should be doing at all. Like, people die all the time. They don't care at all. Something, but no, we didn't get that. But not complain because I'm glad World War II. And like I said, Chris is kidnapped, and we find out that Rick Flag is behind it, and he's going to be the first person that we send over to Salvation. And as he was getting uncuffed, one thing I thought, like, why not try to fight the guys after they start to uncuff you to try to get back in? Obviously, he would have shut the door and the guys would have been stuck there. But before he shut the door, he said, "This is for Rick,
Ricky. This is for Ricky.
Ricky." Yep. And the door shuts as John, as Peacemaker jumps to try to get through it, and now he's stranded there, and we hear a giant monster roar or animal roar in the background. So this is not as inhabitable as the Argus people think it is early on. So
yeah,
I love that cliffhanger. Like, that's really interesting to me how they're going to go forward, especially with the Man of Tomorrow events playing right into this. So, Joe, what do you think about the finale? What do you think about this? How we end it stuff here?
I mean, pretty good, and considering where we're going, I mean.
Yeah,
where we're going.
We got there is a article about that. There's a big part of that storyline that they won't be going to.
Well, sure, yeah, because it's got a bunch of major characters in this. Salvation Run.
Two super major characters that oppose each other, and no, it's not Batman and Superman.
No, yeah. Well, but
their counterparts.
The difference here is in Salvation Run. This takes place just before Final Crisis.
Yeah.
Just after the 52 event.
Yeah.
Specifically because it takes place after Black Adam kind of went on a rampage during 52, and he almost destroyed the world. And so the government, it wasn't Checkmate, but it was the world government, Rick Flag in there, was like, yeah, no, we need to do something. So they literally rounded up all of the rogues, all of the villains.
Yeah.
Every villain, not just metahumans. Like this DCU is specifically stating metahumans.
I didn't read this story before, but I did background immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I've read this a long time ago. Like, I skimmed through it before we got on here, because it's been a long ass time since I've read this story. But like it basically they got all the villains, because even by this point, like, there's Catwoman is in this. By this point in time, Catwoman isn't a villain anymore.
No,
she's more of a vigilante. She's been helping Batman out more than anything else.
I'm
She's
sure that
still
money
she's
was
still a criminal, but like whatever. So it's one of those things where if you were a criminal, if you're a villain at any point in time, you're getting rounded up. You're being sent to salvation.
Yeah.
They don't care.
No.
So
And they don't hear either. But again, this first one's personal.
Yeah, 100%.
So again,
but the problem is because it's similar to what is here, what happened in this is happening here. When they sent that first group there, and here the first group was like the rogues from Flash's rogues gallery. So it was like Mirror Master, Heatwave, Captain Cold, I think Trickster. I could be wrong on that one, but like a few of those, like those 4 or 5 rogues, they sent them there, thinking, all right, we're gonna send them there, just start out. They found that this planet isn't as uninhabited as the government thought it was, similar to what Chris just found out.
Yeah.
So it became a problem really quick, and the villains had to find a way to get back to Earth. In the book, in the comic, it was Lex coming over when he got shipped over and building a device to get back over. But it was also Lex and Joker forming teams and going against each other. So
wasn't like a dark side or a decide thing too?
They were using boom tubes to send them over. It wasn't like it was a dark side thing. Again, it was leading into Final Crisis, which was a dark side centric story. But it's also it's a whole different, like dark side, all that was a whole different thing. So
I think it could still potentially lead to this, because we don't know who made the technology that's allowing them to travel between worlds.
Correct. Yeah, because when he found it, it was from some random alien. Actually, that alien did look similar to the little gremlins in that one place, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah. When you think about it, just a bigger version.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure what this leads to as well. I don't know how this ties in for a big villain, but
I'm still banking on the Brainiac on Man of Tomorrow there last. Just saying.
I'm hoping as well. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but just I don't think it was as good as the previous season. But still, we really put us in a good place. The last says good episode of Peacemaker, a little bit underwhelming finale. Even put hype aside, feels like semi-epilogue. Only problem is I never felt like we completed the climax. 7.5 to 8.
That's fair.
That's not a bad. I would probably put it at 7.5 too. Last. So yeah, I think I agree with you there.
Definitely, I agree that it definitely wasn't as good as the first season finale. The season as a whole, I had fun with for the most part, but the first season was definitely better. I think because we were
story and stuff, and it was new.
Yeah, yes. First season was definitely better. We were introduced to all these new characters, a lot of fun characters, but this was a good season. I did enjoy it.
Yes, and there's some really good stuff, even like Harcourt being involved with Rick Flag Jr. before. Like, that stuff is really good, and it adds
connecting everything,
and it adds some depth to the whole previous season.
Yep.
And like the stuff, like how Washi was so wishy-washy with him at times. So
yeah,
really enjoyed this, Joe, and we'll take our final ad break of the evening and get into this big news article for James Gunn about what's happening in DCU going forward. Listen, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or volume. I'm going to do a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe, this is a big article from Screen Brief, and I'm going to jump into it now. It's a big interview. The first season of Peacemaker ends with an alien invasion and a big battle. The second season ends with more emotional confrontation. Why did you want to go that route for this season? Which is a criticism. I've seen it there a little bit. Well, I've always thought that the first season is about Peacemaker and the second season is about Chris Smith. In the first season, Chris was healing with the repercussions of his actions, but also the presence of his own trauma, a trauma that he had never seen, but was affecting all his thoughts and decisions, and he just wasn't aware of it. And by the end of season 1, he becomes aware of this trauma. In season 2, he's aware of the trauma and actually makes his life a little bit harder. And as anyone who's done a bit of therapy knows, sometimes that can also make your life harder, at least temporarily. because
Yeah.
you're dealing with all this stuff in your life that you didn't even know was there, and you're doubting things about yourself that you've never doubted. And the second season is that internal journey of Christopher Smith. It's always about the way he relates to himself and the way he relates to the rest of the 11th Street kids from a perspective of potential for healing. Okay, I'm okay with no ending action scene with that answer. And then it's like, how do you decide between? Okay, we'll leave that one out. And the other dimensions Argus discovered. How did you dream up those universes? What did you decide? How did you decide which doors you wanted them to go through? So sometimes it's part of it. It's because it's part of the story. We hear in the first episode, Aggie mentions an imp in dimension with the giant peppermint sticks. So that's the one that they wanted to show as real place. That's the crazy one that we saw.
Yep.
He said, but I also wanted to show, in a way, hellish dimension. It was one of the most fun things I ever did because it really reminds me a lot of the Hong Kong Category 3 movies that I loved when I was younger. They would blend this absolute crazy stuff with true tragedy, like Clyde getting killed, and the sadness of Harcourt and Flurry, and the change of Flurry that leads to his ending. And again, I wanted to him
You wanted to see
about
it, yeah.
I wanted to hear
Yeah.
it. That's all. I saw it. We saw it in the looks, but in terms of all the other doors, it really was a matter of just creating a montage and what's most fun. Of course, there was an important one referencing Salvation. Were there any other universes that you dreamed of that you didn't get a chance to include? Yeah, I wanted to open the door and see Deadpool in a room, and I talked to Ryan Reynolds about it. But I think we would have gone through some pretty big hoops to do that. Ryan wanted to do it.
Of course you did.
Yeah, and that's all. Don't watch out. Make sure he doesn't get asked that question on an interview. And that's all anyone's going to talk about now. Deadpool, regretfully, I never should have said that.
That would have been fun, but also, like, yeah, you've been right. That would have been all over social media had that happened. You know?
Then, yeah, I agree. And it was like, did you consider peeking to the universe with the alien who keeps walking out and incinerating rats? I think we could have see that someday, but he's just a janitor. He works in some building in his dimension, and the rats are very toxic. So you're not supposed to burn them. So he just goes to the quantum chamber and burns them there because they are toxic vermin. His story is very mundane. He's like the next door neighbor from Home Improvement. There's nothing special about that guy. He's just this guy.
Well, hold on. Wilson was important.
He was the heart. He was the
Come
heart
on.
and common sense of the story. And if it wasn't for him, Tim Allen would have been divorced 7,500 times.
Exactly. Jeez, James Gunn. It's like you never
Come on.
watched Home Improvement at all.
At all. Oh. On the connected story of the DCU, including Salvation and Checkmate. This episode includes two major reveals. Can you talk about this is to bring the planet of Salvation and the Checkmate agency into the DCU? Yeah, those were two things that were always part of this season. Even before I sat there in writing rooms at DC, I had sort of mapped out what I thought was a general story, and two important aspects of that were Checkmate and especially Salvation. Those were the things that I pitched to everybody before we came into DC. I pitched it to Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, to Casey Belois, and to David Zaslav. Then after we came into DC Studios, I met with the writer's room. We kind of worked out things a little bit more. So that's always pretty instrumental in the overarching story that I'm telling in the DCU. The other shows like Lanterns is very connected to all that. It may not seem like it, but it is all very connected. The villain at the end of Lanterns going to get thrown into Salvation prison.
I mean, anything's possible.
Can you talk about what Salvation and about what in Salvation and Checkmate appealed to you as things to have as narrative engines for what you're doing at DC? I've always liked Checkmate. Those Greg Rucka Checkmate stories are just comics that I really, really love. So I always wanted to build Checkmate into it somehow. And the idea of allowing Abigail to really feel what is her sort of destiny, be the one that finds Checkmate in the universe is very important too. I also like for the idea of using Checkmate to deal with all these different characters. For instance, I said on Threads the other day that when Augie gives his speech at the end of episode 7, some people judge very harshly, and other people think he's a hero. And I don't know if he's either of those things, but I think he's a good man who's trying to fight in a small way, but doesn't think he can win any bigger fights than that. I think that speaks directly to Harcourt, especially, but also Economist. In comparison, for all Peacemaker's flaws, he's always been brash and done whatever he thought the right thing was. Harcourt and Economists are on the other hand, they're worker bees. They work for intelligent organizations their whole life, have basically done what they've been told. They broke it out of a couple of times, like at the end of Suicide Squad, but basically they're worker bees. And so I think that Augie was especially speaking directly to Harcourt's soul at that moment.
Yeah.
This leads to the desire to create that organization using all the blood money for good. And then, did you always know Amanda Waller's daughter would be the one that founded Checkmate? I've known for a long time, even before I pitched to Zaslav. Don't know if it was after season one or maybe it was during season one, but I've known for a long time that they go on to form Checkmate. At least I had my plans that they would do that.
Okay.
Yeah, these are
Nice.
pretty good answers here, Joe.
Yeah.
For most part. And then what is it about Salvation storyline that made you want to incorporate to DCU storytelling? It was really the concept. I like the concept of Rick Flag creating this prison that is absolutely inescapable, but also it's a rash decision because Argus doesn't realize from their initial test run that it's a dangerous place in the comics and in our DCU. There are hints of it being dangerous, but I also like the idea of being able to create this other environment where people that are considered bad metahumans are going to have to figure out a way to create a new society. That was what was always interesting to me. I really liked the concept of it from the beginning when it first came out.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Now that and one thing that I think Gunn is good about doing is not putting the cart in front of the horse. Now that this is out there, we could potentially get a miniseries of this.
Yes.
I mean, he is all about getting a script out there first before announcing anything.
Or a big film.
Or film. We could do a film.
Get stuff and in the big film culminating in it.
Yeah, like that's also possible. But at the same time, like if this is going to lead directly into Man of Tomorrow, which I'm sure we'll get into here soon in the notes, but maybe that's going to be something down the road.
So he also says here, what about Sally's story? Okay. How much should DC comic fans be thinking about what actually happens in those books from what to expect in DCU? He said it's really about the concept. We're taking elements like Salvation, but we're also not adapting that total story. For example, there's a very distinct storyline in comics that involves the Joker versus Lex Luthor, but we're not doing that. The part that really spoke to me was the beginning of it, where in the comics, Rick Flag Jr. and Amanda Waller were like, these metahumans are a pain in the ass. They keep escaping. Let's just get rid of them permanently. And then they send them to another place. And of course, there are a bunch of repercussions about sending a bunch of bad guys to another dimension. And in this case, the sole person right now is a good guy who has to survive on his own, Peacemaker.
Yeah.
And then what do you envision Checkmate looking like in the DCU? Is it its own thing or will it carry on through Peacemaker and other projects? You'll definitely see Checkmate carrying on through DCU. They're a thing now. They're part of what's going to happen. And I think they're going to be really, really good at what they do. When we see them next, I think their circumstances will be a little different than the startup they are now.
Okay, good.
And then the Bordeaux part of it all, the existence of Checkmate has a major implication for Sacha Bordeaux. Does this lead us any closer to Batman appearing in the DCU? No.
Boo.
It's not really about that. If you think about it, you're kind of skipping over that part. It's about Sacha and Batman. It's not about Sacha and Batman. It's about Sacha and Checkmate. Frankly, I know Sacha mostly from Checkmate, so that's why she came into this story.
Which makes sense because in the comics, Sacha Bordeaux was in Batman first, then became an OMAC, and then joined Checkmate.
That's true. And then there's another one, Supergirl's direct adaptation from comic book. How many other adaptations should we expect in the DCU? Only some, frankly. Not a ton, but some. For example, we're taking elements like Salvation, but we're not adapting that total story. We're taking elements of that comic book series and putting them into our films.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot happening. So there's a lot of great concepts like Man of Tomorrow. I'm dealing with so many things that are from comics that are great, but I'm not adapting a specific comic storybook like Supergirl is.
Okay.
And then Rick Flag's cooperation with Lex Luthor. With Rick Flag implementing Lex Luthor's plan to imprison metahumans, things are going well for Lex Luthor right now. What sort of threat will get him to work with Superman and Man tomorrow? Oh, a pretty pronounced one. I think that Lex Luthor is mostly concerned about Lex Luthor, so we'll see what threatens Lex Luthor.
Ooh, I wonder what could threaten Lex Luthor. Brainiac, maybe.
Rick Flag Sr. seems to be in a position of power, but once you enter any kind of deal with Lex Luthor, doesn't he tend to be the one holding all the cards? And yes, Rick is dumb. I love the character of Rick Flag, but he thinks he is way smarter than he is. And we will continue. We will see it continuously. He thinks he can compete with Lex, and there's just no way he can. It's not going to be great for him. Is there anything happening now that you wish was different about Rick Flag Sr. and Creature Commandos that what has happened to Peacemaker and Superman? No, I think that was all part of it. We saw a guy in Creature Commandos who seemed like he was a good guy at first, but absolutely not. He screws up everything again, and because he thinks he's smarter than Waller, which he isn't, he messes that up, and he falls for this woman and is played from her from the beginning.
Yep.
So, can you reel when we might see Keith in the future? I think we've born a villain, but I do think the story is sort of about salvation right now. Their story is more planned out than anything to do with Keith. I have plans for Keith. I just haven't figured exactly out how it's all going to work right now. It's hard with the interdimensional hopping stuff to make these things come together in the way I'd like. I have what I would like to have happen with Keith, but I'm not sure. I have to make sure it will work. So we learn a little bit about Adrian's older brother. How much can you share about him? Well, his name is Gut Chase, and he was almost in this season. There are two characters that I have in my back pocket that are big ideas in my head. One is Peacemaker's mother, and the other is Gut Chase. Both of them almost appear this season. I actually wrote scenes for Peacemaker's mom, but at the end of the day, you just don't have as much landscape as you want. Gut Chase is a bit smaller to Peacemaker, but probably doesn't have the heart that Peacemaker is hiding beneath all that. It's a bit similar, sorry. I'm reading too much of this. And then,
I mean, there's a lot in this article, so
yeah, it's like, okay. So we're going to put a pin in this and go through more to see, because again, there's stuff here.
It just keeps going on and on. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, just for the stuff for what's going to happen going forward in the DCU. There's a lot of stuff here about Foxy, about the music and stuff too, Joe. When you get
which is cool.
A lot of taking up stuff. So we'll look through. There's on the upcoming projects for 2026 and 2027. You wrote the first 3 projects of DCU, but now you're handing the baton on to other creators for Supergirl and Lanterns. How does it feel transitioning to be more of a producer and CEO role? It's challenging because my experience is being writer and director. I produce some things, but it doesn't feel like it comes naturally to me. So it's trying to be the best producer I can. I'm focused on supporting those creators. So what will dictate which DCU projects you choose to direct yourself? Well, with Man Tomorrow, I had an idea. It was an idea I had for a long time, so I already knew the next few projects I'm directing. And so how do you know? Is it just because you're the one steering that particular story? Yes, because it's part of the plan for DCU. There's one big story. On the other hand, everything is going to be okay to watch by itself, but there is still a bigger story that's being told that involves, for example, Salvation, and that story involves Rick Flag and involves Lex and Superman. So those movies I'm going to be directing. That's the plan right now, at least. I may get tired. I may get so tired that I can't do that because I'm pretty tired. So we'll see. But there's a plan that I'm going to do. It's a couple more at least. So we'll see how this goes going forward. Joe, I'm super excited about Peacemaker. I really, really like what we're going to do in the DCU. In the context of the interview, I think Gunn was saying that people will still only be talking about Dibbles. And
that's where
we thought as
mentioning
well. Left. At least no one actually talks crossover. Yeah, we won't see that for a while. And last says, could Checkmate be the secret series we've waiting to be greenlit? It could
Possible.
be. And he said Waller is not. They're still not where they want to be with Waller. So
yeah, so maybe Checkmate could kind of be slotted in there somewhere.
Yeah, and again, Joe, this is good stuff for the DCU. Couple of 3 good projects. I would give thumbs up to all 3 projects that we got this year: Creature Commandos, Superman, and this. It's like there's different levels to how much I enjoyed all of them, but nothing knocked me out of the park. But I enjoyed all the entries. So, and I'm curious about the story now, especially with the ending of Peacemaker. I'm really interested in like what they're going to do because they're not doing the Lex versus Joker stuff. So I'm just going to be interested to see like what is on this planet. And
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see when we come back to Salvation as a whole, how Chris is doing. You know, because they can't come back to this planet and not show us Peacemaker.
No, yeah, he'll have to be there involved somehow, unless you do a separate thing of his story. But again, the only way he's getting back right now is for Argus. Maybe he might find a way there, but right now the only way he's getting back is Argus. So,
well, I mean, Checkmate could
figure it out,
and then but them finding a way to get there is going to be the hard part.
Agreed. So, Joe, we'll have a final thing here, which is our Smallville retro recaps, season 7, episode 11, Siren, which I enjoyed this episode. Black Canary showed
Black
up.
Canary, you got Green Arrow come back.
Green Arrow came back for an episode, and I didn't think this was as bad as I thought it was going to be going in.
Agreed. Actually, it was. We had Lois figuring out that Ollie is Green Arrow, which is always fun to see whenever she figures it out. Although her whole speech of like, we can't be together because I can't, like, you're more important to the world and I can't look at somebody in the eye and know that I'm not the person, like, I'm not going to be the most important person to you. It's like, okay. I see what you're trying to do. But I also know that's not the case, considering how Lois is later on when she is totally for Clark doing that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they get rid of him and Lana go their separate ways.
This episode with those two was just pathetic.
Yeah, again, the best stuff was the action stuff with the Green Arrow and the whole them going after Lex Luthor and them giving shit to Clark about being on the sidelines because he was pissed off that he was partnering with Chloe, and Chloe becomes such a bigger thing in this show because of this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
again, Clark looked like a little bit of a dum-dum here in this episode, and I just enjoyed the dying of realizing that Lex was the bad guy.
Which I do give the show props for giving Chloe that role, because I do remember back, way back when she was supposed to be revealed to be Lois Lane. That was the whole thing, whatever. But then when they actually brought in Lois, and then Chloe kind of got pushed to the sideline a little bit, which I'm not, against, but the fact that they upped Chloe to being more of a Watchtower, Oracle kind of a character.
Like that.
Yeah, it definitely gave her character prominence, and that was good. I did enjoy that.
So yeah, again, this was a nice laid groundwork. I think she shows up 6 more times or 7 more times in this last 3 seasons. So you're building the Justice League here.
Really, that much?
Yeah. So there's only 3 seasons after this. You don't see any more Justice League appearances. Maybe at the end of the season, I can't remember. No, I don't think so. So yeah, Joe, enjoyable episode, enjoyable episodes that we watched today. Like the news that I heard from Gunn. DCU's firing on all cylinders. I think thumbs up here.
Yeah,
we're team, but we're not watching Titans anymore. So could be. I saw somebody tweeting about it, oh, we didn't have it so bad. I was like, are you kidding me?
We're talking about we had Titans, we had Gotham Knight.
I won't disperse Doom Patrol, but
Doom Patrol is great.
I'm glad we're too right now. So
honestly, Titans was fine toward the end.
Titans was on the potential just infuriated me. The costumes were fantastic, the action was great, everything else was dog crap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
The relationship between the characters was nice, but there's just story writing. Okay, we're not going to get Titans here. I've complained too much on this in these 288 episodes.
My only worry is that now that we have the finale of Peacemaker, we're going to be in a little bit of a drought for
you might get an episode or 2 off from us because early 2026 is when Lanterns comes out. So
yeah,
won't be too long.
So we'll find some things, but we might have a lot of breaks from now until
Salvation, Joe. We might have to read and talk about Salvation.
I mean, I got it right here.
But we'll get out of here this evening and back next week with hopefully some more news. Until then, see you, everyone.
Bye, y'all.